110.
Alright guys, we are picking back up on the C43, and we're specifically focused on the serpentine belt accessories, and we're going to be doing a radiator. And this is one component that I wanted to throw on. This is a new tensioner. The current one accessory on the car is original, I can tell, and it's the old style that has the male torques that you use to turn. This one has the whatever this is, 14 millimeter, I think so, hex nut on here that you use to turn a tensioner. Anyways, the one I ordered showed up damaged. Luckily I was refunded for it, but this pulley was no good, and I didn't feel like waiting around for a whole new assembly because it was going to be like another 4 or 5 days. Instead, I found on Amazon somebody selling the replacement pulleys, and this is actually what I was expecting to see on this. Why I ordered this one is, this is a Dayco, and I wanted this because it had the metal pulley on it, but when it showed up it had the plastic pulley. So these ones on Amazon were like $17. It looks like they come with a decent bearing, and I figured why not, it's worth a shot. So I just swapped it out. There's a T40 Torx that holds these in, and you basically just put your little retainer right there, and then your bolt goes in, and now we're good to go with kind of an upgraded pulley. In my opinion, it's better to have the metal ones versus the plastic. These get kind of old and dried out and crack on the back sides, like you'll see later on with our idler pulley. Definitely is like that. So I'm going to put a little blue Loctite on this, tighten it down, and then this part is good to go to throw on. All right, that is on there now. Should be good to go. Many happy miles hopefully out of this unit, and yeah, it's one part down. All right, you guys, and this is a big part of the video. We finally got our aluminum radiator, and I'm so excited to check this thing out. I actually heard from a few people that run this exact same one on their W208 55s, and they said it's been fantastic. So yeah, a little more reassurance. It's an eBay radiator, 200 bucks, 235 bucks, I think. It was originally designated for a Crossfire. What I've learned is Crossfire and 202 C43 share a lot of parts in common. I knew that the Crossfire and SLK chassis shared a lot, but wasn't familiar with how many parts in fact are interchangeable on the 202. So let's crack this thing open, see what it looks like. All right, so far packaged nicely, so that's good. It was boxed inside of a box, and it's got foam on top of it too. So let's go ahead, I'll get this thing out of here, show you guys. All right, you guys, this made me laugh right now. I just pulled this open. I don't know if they mean to include these in the kit, but hey, I'll take it. Nice, fresh X-Acto knife. This is definitely somebody working at the factory or wherever this came from. This is a Chinese brand. Probably left it in here when they were packing everything up. That's crazy. All right, let me get this all the way out. Let's take a look. Yo, you guys, this thing is looking sweet. I'm not gonna lie. This looks fantastic from what I'm seeing so far. Welds are clean. Sometimes you get stuff like this, you can see like kind of the corrosion spots, but no, this all looks pretty good so far. Also, sidetrack, but who else is like me, and when you get nice foam like this in packages, you end up always keeping it because it comes in handy for random stuff working on the cars. Definitely will hang on to all of these little packing materials. But anyways, pop this thing up, see what we got. Dude, this thing is looking spot on. This is awesome. See, all the fins look good. Little nick here and there, nothing crazy. Front plugs. So what I didn't know, guys, is the C43 has a separate, and if you're watching this and you own one, you already know probably, but C43 has a separate trans cooler. Doesn't go through the radiator like most other 722.6 cars do. So when I learned that, I was like, okay, let me try this out again, because that's the whole reason the one that I ordered for the M155 a while back, if you guys remember, didn't end up working out, is because they flip-flop the fittings for the transmission. And on the M155, one of them is big and one of them is small, and they were in the wrong spots, and I just could not get to reach either one of those lines unless I had like customized the lines or got some adapters, something like that. But it was going to be a pain. So instead, Ended up just putting a factory one in it, but this time around, since I knew I didn't have to worry about that, I figured, all right, well, if everything looks like it lines up as far as hose inlets, outlets go, then we should be okay to at least give it a shot. So yeah, the little prongs for the fan, grommets down there, everything looks like it's in the right spot. So that's good news. Yeah, now it's just gonna come down to me ripping the old one out. I've got it kind of started, but I didn't take it out yet just because I wanted to see what this looked like when it showed up. But yeah, we can continue now. So I will catch you guys back at the car later on once we get some time to do this. It's a little rainy right now and it's outside, so not gonna attempt it right now, but hopefully within the next few days we'll get a chance. All right, boys, don't be mad at me, but I got a little bit ahead of you guys. We got our radiator almost free. Got one more hose I got to get off underneath down there, but yeah, for the most part, pulling it out, just two 10mm bolts up here, obviously the two 10mm on each side for the core support, and then this should just slip out. I think it's just rubber grommets underneath. There's no like bolt or anything holding in the radiator, so we should be good on that front. I'm still thinking about trying a threaded rod for this once I get this out, because even though I wouldn't have been able to do that with the radiator in, that idea could work so that next time I have to change the idler pulley, the radiator does not have to come out. So this is an original bare unit. You can see 1990, maybe it's not original actually. Yeah, I know it should. 97, this car is a 98. So yeah, this is the original. I'll definitely keep this around. Somebody just crashed on their bike over there. Hopefully they're all right. Yeah, I'll definitely keep this around just to have. I mean, it's a good spare and it's still holding together, but the aluminum one we got is much cooler and all aluminum, so I'll take it. So let me get this situated, get it out of here, and I'll catch up with you guys in a sec. All right, guys, this is ready to come out. I think the last things I had to get were the two plastic feeds for the intake pipes. Those just come out with little retaining clips. Basically, there's 3 on the passenger side and 2 on the driver's side. I lost one from the passenger side, so I'll have to take a look at that. I think it's somewhere underneath the car, so I'll get that later. But yeah, I think this thing is ready to come out. It's probably gonna take 2 hands though, so see you in a sec. All right, you guys, the rad is out, and honestly it still looks great. End tanks still look really good. Like, yeah, this thing is solid built. I think these are even different than the later style. Like the later style doesn't even have these, like the metal inserts on the little inlets, outlets. But yeah, overall we'll get to comparing it to our aftermarket unit here in a second. But here's the notorious thing that started all of this. I can finally get it out. So guys, my plan is, I need to figure something out for this, but okay, I know this, we would need a washer or something that would sit flush inside of here, or I would basically have to drill this out and use it as a washer and then put a nut on top of this with a stud. And you guys may be thinking, nah, just replace it, whatever, but guys, I'm all about the serviceability of these things and trying to simplify things, and I'm sorry, but this is a terrible design to not be able to replace your idler pulley without taking out your radiator. These things sometimes can go bad in 20-30,000 miles, maybe if you get a dud. They should last much longer, but I mean, things happen. It could shred a belt, it could do something with it wonky and, you know, mess an idler pulley up, and to have to pull your radiator out is ridiculous. What if you're, you know, in a pinch, stranded on the side of the road? You don't want to be doing a whole radiator job to replace one little pulley. So I want to figure something out. I'm not going to rush this. I'm going to try to figure something out. If I can get a threaded rod, this is probably an M6, then, you know, should be able to figure something out. I basically just have to cut this bolt off right here and then drill out the head of it and use this essentially as a washer, and that could slide right onto the rod, keep this in place where it needs to be, and go from there. So I'm gonna play around with this. We got obviously our new idler pulley we'll throw on, our new tensioner as well that you guys saw me swap the pulley on too. But this thing is dead, so I think I'm gonna play around with, like, yeah, so this, it doesn't matter for the inner diameter to this. It really just needs to get sat on that pulley over here, because this side centers the pulley of the water pump, that little chamfer, and then this side seats the outside of it. So as long as we can get something set up that it does the same thing, a threaded rod in here should work no problem. So I need to go see what size this is exactly and see if I can find like a stainless steel threaded rod. Alright guys, we are back with the C43, and I got my stainless steel rods in here. So we're basically gonna cut them down to length and try to do what I'm planning to do. Essentially, the rod, we are going to modify this, basically just drill out this top center so it will cut off the stem here, and gonna use that as our basically washer or like spacer, and then just put a regular nut on top of that with probably a lock washer or something, or just a lock nut that I have. So I think it should be pretty simple. Just gonna use good old-fashioned cutting on the vise. This is probably dull. Let's try a different bit. Got it. Look at that. Perfect machined piece. My plan worked. All right, step number one at least. All right, you guys, so now we have our little machined quote unquote piece. It's our old bolt head. Slides on no problem. So we really just need this for the centering portion on the idler pulley. So we're basically gonna use this as our washer. Now we just need to see the correct length to cut our rod down to. Probably gonna need to cut it shorter before I can even test it in here. So let's go do that. I'll try to get it kind of rough spot of where it's going to be and get it tightened down. My plan is maybe where I cut it, I'll try to kind of shave down two sides so I can tighten it down with a wrench. Otherwise we can do the double nut method to try to tighten it down. It doesn't need to be super tight, and I'll Loctite it. Studs and nuts work differently than with a bolt. You really put the torque on the nuts when it comes to stud setup versus with a bolt. You got to torque down the whole thing obviously, but when it's stud and nut, you don't really need to go crazy with the stud torque. All right guys, all the fancy tools over here, right? Keep it simple. Where is our bolt? There it is. So I went a little bit longer, obviously, because you're gonna have the nut head on it and maybe a little bit of stem of the rod sticking out. So this should be totally fine where it's at. And it's a reason I got two of these, just in case I cut it too short, I got a backup. So let's do this. I got the nut on there, so when you spin it off, it'll help kind of clean up the threads a little bit. Okay. Let me go file those down a little bit, and then I'll thread the nut off. Should be totally fine on this side. All right, you guys, well, that didn't go as expected. I had the previous one I made, and it was just going forever and ever and ever. I don't know if you guys can see down in there, but the threaded rod You can see right there, I forgot that this part actually goes through the valley, so it's got nothing to actually stop it. It's not a closed borehole for the threads on the bolt, so the bolt really just tightens down by clamping down on the idler. So I guess that means, I mean, if I put a little Loctite on this and then just tighten down with the nut, it should hold it in place. But I don't know, I'm not sure about that. I could go on the back side right here, because I am going to be deleting this anyways. I could take this out and put a nut on the back side. That way I'd basically have one on each side, but I don't know. I loosened up the AC condenser and everything because I was like, what the heck, I fit a longer rod into this. This is way longer than the original one I made, just because I was like, what is going on? How deep is this hole back here? But turns out it just was threaded all the way. Anyways, let me get this out and we'll keep trying to experiment here. All right, you guys, well, there is our setup, and gonna send it. I don't think it'd be a problem because the stud should stay pretty tight as long as the nut is tightened on it. So we're gonna try it out, and fingers crossed. All right, you guys, that is all tightened up. I got the old tensioner out. It is definitely original. There's a sacrificial Allen bolt that I used to hold it tight, and it's definitely thrown a belt or two in its time. The originals are gates. You can see right there on the back. Here is the replacement. This is the Deco unit that you guys saw me swap in this aftermarket pulley, because I like the metal pulleys, and the one that came with it was broken anyways. So we're gonna go ahead and throw this one on. Got my bolts, a little bit of Loctite on them. Go ahead and snug those down. All right, you guys, new tensioner is on and Loctited, and our little stem that is in there is still in there. I will take that out once we go to put our belt on and everything, which we could probably do now, to be honest. But let me go get situated on our radiator. All right, guys, took a quick walk break. We're back though. I got another hour or so of daylight. I'm gonna try to get this done so I can drive this car. I missed it. I literally parked it like a few days after I got it, and it's been sitting since. So we are very, very close now that that is sorted out. Basically just get our radiator here and start buttoning everything else up. So let's do this. Well, guys, unfortunately our eBay radiator just did not work. I've learned my lesson now. I don't think I'm ever going to try one of these again unless I know I have a ton of room for clearance. This thing is probably good. I might keep it for this thing because, I mean, it can definitely work. It's just not the right dimensions. It doesn't sit back far enough. The tabs don't line up perfectly. It's mostly, I think, because of this. On the stock one, it's a lot rounder right here, and it's got more room for it to sit back. But the huge problem, which I tried to fix but did not work, was these bottom stubs are obviously different on the Crossfire or W208, because on the C43 they're basically like half moons that sit on the back, and on the Crossfire and 208 I'm assuming they're just the regular dowels that sit straight across. So I tried to cut them flat to see, you know, I could have just mounted like a little bracket to keep it from shifting, so it wouldn't have been a big deal. But even with that, it still did not want to sit flush at all. So I am not going to bother. I already contacted the eBay seller. Hopefully this time I will not get screwed over. Last time the eBay seller was a complete jerk on the M155. So yeah, this time hopefully they'll refund, or at least partial refund for that thing, since it's not correct. But this luckily is still in good shape, so we're basically just gonna button things back up. I'll put the new hose on, and eventually obviously we'll throw a new radiator in this thing, but it's not necessarily why we were doing any of this job anyways. We were literally just doing this to do our idler pulley modification. So now that that is good, I'm gonna go ahead and start buttoning things up, and of course it's starting to rain a little bit right now. All right, you guys, I'm getting rained on, so I've just been jamming, but we got most things situated, belts on, tensioned, fan shroud is in, radiator's in, everything tightened up on the hoses, and now I'm putting in the clutch fan, put a little bit of anti-seize on there just to make it easy to take off next time I need to. And yeah, Trying to button up all the little pieces of hardware and stuff that I collected as I took everything apart. Alright guys, and I did end up picking up the 3-prong water pump holder or pulley holder so I could tighten up the belt, but I did my hammer method just like I got it off, and it seems to have gotten it tight, but I double checked with this just in case. So good tool to have. So now I got everything situated on the fans. Now it's just a lot of clips and some more bolts, and should be good to start filling up our coolant. I also have a new reservoir, so I'll swap it in before we throw in our coolant, but see how much time I get right now before daylight's gone. All right, you guys, you can probably see not much at all, but everything is buttoned up. I just got to put the new expansion tank and then fill this thing up and bleed it. Check everything. Obviously, I'm going to go ahead and paint mark our stud trick there for our idler pulley just to make sure it doesn't move. And yeah, I'll probably catch you guys in the daylight or maybe later tonight. All right, you guys are back. I want to get this finished up tonight, so I'm throwing in the expansion tank. This was only 15 bucks, can you believe it? And it's actually an OEM one. It's off Amazon. It's sold from another company, but typically what I see with these is pretty much all of them are OEM. They're just reboxed by whatever company. So yeah, $15 on Amazon, I'll take it. You guys are not gonna be able to see anything that I'm doing over there. Maybe I'll try to bust out the light since we got this and it's charged up, so you guys can see a few things while I finish up what we got here. Hopefully I got enough coolant to make this work tonight. I think I do, so catch you guys in a bit. Oh, hey, look at that, guys. Shout out to my mom and Mike for buying this for me for Christmas. It's coming in handy. But yeah, just got to transfer over a few things from this cap. I did not get a new one of those, probably should have, but I don't. Need to transfer over a little bit of hose and the level sensor, and then we'll get off this clamp down here. So besides that, I think it's just a few 10mm nuts holding onto the studs and should be in the clear. Right, guys, that is all installed. Looks much nicer with a nice fresh tank compared to our old dirty unit. But yeah, left now is just fill up with coolant, check for any leaks, check that our belt is moving nicely. Once we get this thing started up, I'll probably throw the battery charger on it, but let's get some coolant in it first. Hey guys, and one of the coolest things about M112s, M113s, this whole era of Mercedes, pretty much all these are self-bleeding. You literally just fill them up, and even without the car running, they will pretty much bleed themselves 99%. And then basically once you turn it on, get it to bleed all the way, but even without, it just, yeah, it does the thing. It's awesome. So, letting that fill up, I've got about 2 1-gallon containers into it. I have a mix of this Supertech and Xerox, both same stuff, just a blue Mercedes coolant. So I'm going to throw in a little bit more here and get ready to fire up. Alright guys, well, I was just going to charge the battery and I didn't think there was much to see for you guys back here, but look what I just found. The spare in the back is a brand new monoblock. What the heck? That is insane. The tire, I want to see what the tire is from. Oh my god, I can't believe this. It's a 17 by 7.5 monoblock, and it's literally like fresh. Crazy. Alright guys, well, very unexpected find. While I was in there, went and sprayed a little bit of corrosion protectant on a few things, and we got the battery charging, which, good thing, it looks like it needs it. So let's go ahead and charge this thing up for a little while before we crank it over. Alright you guys, well, this thing has been charging for quite a while, and I've marked our nut and thread, and besides that, it should be good to fire up. Got 4 to 5 bars on the battery, so let's go ahead and crank this thing over and get our coolant cycle through. Very bright LED lights inside. Man, it feels like it's been a while. Alright, let's put our fan on and turn this to high. Turn that off. exhaust on. Okay, let's go take an eye on the coolant. Alrighty guys, well, it is daylight now and we got everything hooked up pretty much, so I wanted to give you guys a clear view in the daylights and talk about overall project and what we got next for this thing, which probably won't be in this video obviously, but just stuff to look forward to. So there we are, all buttoned up. Got a new expansion tank. I topped it off after we took it for a drive. Had a little air pocket in it, kind of burped itself, and then heat came through right shortly after. So other thing is, don't know if you guys will be able to see, but our blue paint mark is exactly where I put it, so our stud and nut has not moved at all, which is great. Tension on the belt feels great, and yeah, overall we got everything situated. This is our AC bypass belt. I'm pretty sure I told you guys that in the process of this video, but leaving our AC compressor alone for now because I don't really use it, to be honest, up here very much in the summer. I mean, sparingly, but even that, I don't mind not having it. And B, I mean, if for whatever reason we do end up swapping to a 5.4 liter at some point, then I'll have to take care of that anyways. So I'm not going to worry about it for now. I'll just leave it installed, just bypassed, and kind of go through other things on the car. So things upcoming, I have a wheel stud kit from Motorsport Hardware. You guys know that's always one of my first mods I go to on all the cars. At the same time, we'll swap out our wheel caps or wheel center caps to the original stars that were included in the car. I did swap in the factory shift knob, which is awesome. It's in great shape, and Mike included that with us, so awesome little detail to have back in the car. What else? That's pretty much it. Just gonna kind of start making it my own slowly. Got our new license plate on there. This I can put back in the garage and put our little trunk clasp back. I took all the parts out of here, and I probably should take it off the battery. That would help. But yeah, for the most part, guys, get to move on to the other stuff. I'm not gonna bother with doing brakes yet because I'm gonna keep my eyes out for a set of upgraded brakes. You can put a W220 front calipers on here. You can put 203 four piston calipers onto here. So I'm probably gonna keep an eye out for that because I'd rather run a set of those versus these you know, two-piece calipers or whatever you want to call them, floating calipers. I'd like to get the more modern style, and that way we can run the C43 Sport discs, and we don't have to pay for the crazy money these OEM discs go for. So it's possible that I could just take them off of this car because I do have everything to put the factory brakes back on this car, but again, is that really needed? Probably not. So I'm gonna wait until I just find a set at Pick and Pull or something. I will eventually throw them on there. On the next video, expect for you guys to see obviously our Motorsport Hardware stuff thrown in, and while we have it in the garage, I'm also probably going to take care of the intake manifold and injectors and all that stuff. We'll do EGR delete, and then I am going to have to make some plates for the SAI delete too, but we'll try to take care of those soon. And we also got some tuning planned with this thing with Josh from Mercedes Swap Shop, so definitely a lot of things to look out for with this car. And then we'll take this thing for a proper drive. Once I have it, after that I'll be able to lift it up, obviously inspect things, make sure it's good to go, throw on the lug stud kit, and we'll be good to rip after that. And then we can do proper driving video, and shortly after that expect a comparison driving video with the C36 and the C43. And I'm very curious what that's going to be like myself, just driving them back to back and putting them through their paces back to back like that, and just seeing what will stand out. I do have the replacement fender hanging on the garage wall for this thing. It's somewhere tucked back there, you guys can barely see, but I kind of want to try to do PDR on this fender before I just swap it out, just because, you know, it is the original fender and it's not like crunched up by any means. It just has a few little dings on it, so I'd rather try to repair that first then just throw on the spare one I have. And if we can't get it repaired, then yeah, I'll just throw on the spare one we have. But that's it. I think we're good to close it out there. We tried with our aluminum radiator, didn't have it working out, but our cool little mod is a big win, I think, because now every time I need to change the idler pulley, I can just do it easily with everything still in the car. Don't need to do a whole radiator job. That's kind of a crazy thing to have to do for an idler pulley. So if you watch this video, hope you guys like that little life hack for the C43 peeps out there, and for any other car that you have to do that on. Probably 208s, I don't know what else would have needed that. Probably a few different models, I would assume, from that time period with the clutch fan setup. Maybe you have to do that same thing to get that long bolt out. So that is the type of mod that I kind of live for. I love those type of things, little life hacks where you can get away with, you know, cutting your work time in this case, cutting it by hours, because changing idler pulley takes 5 minutes. Taking a radiator out is a couple-hour job. So depending on who's doing it, it's pretty quick on this car now that I know how to do it. To be honest, probably like an hour job. But yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys are enjoying this thing as much as I am. I'm so excited now I can actually start driving it again. It was sad letting it sit for a few weeks while I figured out what was going on. Not even a few weeks, maybe a week. But yeah, that's it. I will catch you guys on the next one with this thing and all the other cars. Got some good stuff coming up, so stay tuned. See you on the next one. Peace.